Okay, the project for today, as we begin to resolve some of the issues with this 91 ZR-1 Corvette. The first problem is how to open the door. There we go. Now the clutch pedal sits low on this car. You can see down there. Clutch and brake should be level roughly. This clutch pedal's sitting probably 2 inches low. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this. Some people say that these clutch pedals bend over time. Some people say they don't believe that. I've heard both opinions. What do you guys think? I think it's plausible they could bend over time, especially on a high mileage car if it's been driven hard. This clutch pedal is discontinued by GM. There are used ones available. So I may go that route at some point. But first what I'm going to do is try the spacer on the clutch master cylinder. I don't know if you can see it back there. There's an aluminum spacer between the master cylinder, which is that rusty looking piece, and the firewall. And some people say if you can get a narrower spacer in there, then you move the clutch closer to the firewall, which changes the geometry of kind of the length of the length that the piston comes inside the car here, which then pushes the clutch pedal back to more of a level. So I suppose even if the clutch pedal's bent, if you can do that, then you can get back to a little more clutch travel. Right now you pretty much have to put the clutch right to the floor to get this thing to engage. And sometimes, like especially if the mat gets up there like that, sometimes you'll even grind gears. So I'm going to start taking things apart here. We'll take off this side panel. We'll remove the battery to give some access. And with those two out, then we'll just pull the ECM over to the side, and we should be able to get at that clutch master cylinder. Should be able to get better access in there now. Yeah, we should be able to reach in and access the bolts to the master cylinder now. I think the first thing we'll do after we're done up under the dash is we'll take the hydraulic line out, try and catch as much fluid as we can, and then start undoing these, I think they're 13mm bolts. Okay, this pedal's sitting low. We're going to bring it back. Now, I don't know if you can see up there. It's tough. But you can see where the pedal attaches to the master cylinder. Now, I'm just going to move the clutch and see if we can demonstrate this here. I don't know if that's showing, but there's a pin up there. Pin attached to the pedal, which is attached to the master cylinder. I'm gonna take a big pry bar and just pop that off. Okay, I think I got it off with the pry bar. Now, the master cylinder should slide out. It's a bit of a maze in here. There. So that's the eye that fits onto the side of that clutch pedal pin, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to move this master cylinder closer to the firewall. Here's the factory spacer, right? Now I had a friend 3D print me this thinner spacer out of plastic, hard plastic, okay? This is 8 millimeters thick. The factory one's about 16, 17 millimeters thick, so it's about half the size. So my theory is that we can use this replacement spacer to bring the master cylinder just a little bit closer to the firewall, which will move this back a little bit, which will push the clutch up a little bit to make it more even with the brake pedal. So whether the clutch pedal is bent, which is my theory, or what's going on, I think this is a workaround that will allow us to hopefully get that clutch pedal back up even to the brake. All right, so we're putting the master cylinder back in. You can see the spacer is here, much thinner than before. We tucked the hydraulic line back in there. Now these are 13 millimeter bolts. This one's real tough to get at, this bottom one. You kind of got to take it like a 1/16 of a turn at a time. And these are fine threads, so this is going to really test patience. Take forever to get that bottom one in. This top one's not too bad. You can kind of spin it in with your fingers. I pretty much got it in. You just have to tighten those bolts up. Now, going over to the car, now it appears that we have a level clutch pedal. I've popped the master cylinder onto the pin on the clutch pedal, and yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know if you can see that, but they're pretty much level now. So that should give us some more clutch travel. We'll get it all back together, and when the snow melts, take it for a drive, but that is just about perfectly level. Going from the original about 16, 17 millimeter wide spacer down to 8 millimeters, this little plastic 3D printed one. All right, so we'll get it all back together, tighten the hydraulic back up, fill it back up with fluid. It looks like there's still enough clearance to the firewall to get the cap off. Yes, there is. That looks good. And bleed it. Get some new fluid in there, bleed it, and I think we may have fixed the low clutch. In my opinion, it's a bent clutch pedal in this car and these cars. There's some disagreement about that, but that's the only thing it could really be, because the master cylinder is in the factory position and the clutch was sitting low. So what else could change? Nothing can change except for the shape of the clutch, the metal bent. Right? There was nothing else wrong. The clutch is fine, the master cylinder's fine, everything's fine. It's just the position of the clutch was sitting low, I think because this pedal bent. Now we've brought the master cylinder closer to the firewall, which has pushed the clutch pedal back a little bit and brought it back up even, so we should have full travel. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll do just one quick follow-up when we get it all back together, but I think we've fixed this low clutch pedal.